Thunderbird from the X-Men is in this movie. Thunderbird, 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 crackers. Namor is also in this movie, but it's comic Namor and not wet Namor. I could criticize this movie for its blatant corporatism because Disney owns Marvel, but the character choices that they use, I'm gonna let it slide. Before I get into the rest of this video, I have to acknowledge that I am a huge fan of the Disney theme parks. I'm more of a Universal fan myself, mostly because it appeals to me as a young adult, but I still like Disney's parks regardless. And the fact that this movie has the California version and the Florida version as different locations in this movie is really cool. Anyway, if you haven't read the title, this movie is still a mixed bag, and I'm gonna explain why. I really like the cast in this movie. Owen Wilson, Danny DeVito, Tiffany Haddish, Rosario Dawson, even the kid. They all look like they're having fun in this movie, and they're all really good actors. Except for this guy. He's not horrible, he's just subpar at best. I guess he was just too lazy to be good. For the life of me, I don't remember the character nor the actor's name, so I'm just gonna call him Dude. I should get this out of the way real quick. This movie is filled with cliches, such as the single mother, the main character who's gonna hook up with said single mother, the I don't believe in ghosts thing, the kid being an outcast. I mean, he has a disability, so he deserves it. Speaking of this kid, they do the dead father cliche, and even when you think they're about to subvert this trope, by subverting, I mean, they hint that he's dead in the first half of the film, then in the second half they say he's still alive, probably boning tokens. Not boning tokens, phoning tokens, like he's a workaholic parent and that's why his mom got a divorce, which is another trope that I hate. But he's still dead anyway. I also like some of the jokes in this movie, proving that women can be funny. I liked the joke where Tiffany Haddish was doing the ritual just for her to fall asleep while doing it. That and the $3 joke. I also like the joke with the mummy, that was pretty good. There's also tons of fun scenes in this movie, like the chair scene parodying the Doom buggy from the ride. And the scenes with the knight are pretty good too. They also bring out some laughs. I like the ocean scene, but it would have been better if it took place in the mansion and not Dude's house. They probably want more after the 1800s. I like the illusion scenes, which are also homages to the ride. And I also like how a lot of the ghosts in the climax are basically from different cultures. One of them's Chinese, one of them's a mummy, one of them's a knight. But that's where the fun ends. The climax is mid as hell. The climax is nothing but running, chasing, ghost tornadoes. It is anticlimactic as hell. You could have taken notes from the Goosebumps movies for a better climax. I felt like the Hatbox Ghost was the perfect choice to be the villain, but he's in it for so little, you forget that he's played by Jared Leto. Did he do any method acting on set? And because of the anticlimactic climax, he's still pretty forgettable. And Dude's arc in this movie is so forced. I like the idea how the one who grieves the most is the more likely to die, but it's the dead love interest to give him a motivation, give him an arc. But I do like the joke that Danny DeVito makes later. It's like the writers knew that people would hate that storyline. I also like that we never see his girlfriend again, even though a lot of movies make us see the dead love interest again. He also uses a MacGuffin to look for Ghost, only for it to be destroyed earlier in the movie, so what's the point? He also gets possessed by a ghost in this movie, which is short-lived, so what's the point? The biggest flaw of this movie is Madame Leota herself. Don't get me wrong, the CGI on her is pretty good. In fact, the CGI in general is pretty good. Except that in the climax in this movie, she says that there is a spell that could trap the Hatbox in forever. I guess we need movie to happen, which I'm glad because I like when movie happens. This entire movie would have been prevented if you would have just told the people to get you out of your crystal sack. And the biggest positive about this movie, it's not woke. For some reason, Disney needs to include woke stuff into everything, but here, there's not really any of it at all. There's no forced or unnecessary gay couple that's in this movie. There's no race baity or prejudice commentary like in a lot of Marvel's recent work. Though to be fair, I think that was mostly Kevin Feige or Victoria Alonso's doing. So yeah, this movie's fine. I'm probably gonna revisit it in the future and probably never again, just for the fun stuff alone. But anyway, 6 out of 10.